and Xavi Binet y Reca Fernandez. And we work at Popular Education Consultants. We live in West Palm Beach, Florida, but we move all around. And doing what we're doing today, facilitated workshops, but also we do participatory strategic plans for organizations and a lot of things. But what all those things have in common is that we always use popular education as a methodology. Because for us, what people already know and what people already have experienced in the past, and the way they judge and they value reality and the context where they live, that for us is where real knowledge starts in a workshop. So in a way, we don't believe in the expert approach that we are the experts and we are going to teach you what we know. No. We're going to share what we know, yes. But the experts of the reality here in North Carolina is you. You are the ones who are the experts. So, and at the same time, in terms of your educational experience, you are your experts of your own experience in teaching, training, sharing your knowledge with your community. So in that way, we also want to know about that. And then we are going to share what we know and trying to make it like a fusion of knowledge so that we're going to produce a new knowledge in this workshop. So that's the kind of the methodology we're going to use today, especially today because this is our most important workshop for us. This is the workshop that we really, really love facilitating. This is about popular education. What is the difference between popular education and participatory tools or learning processes? Well, that's the important part of this workshop. What is it for you, popular education? Could you, Chavez is going to hand out some cards so that in a word if possible, 2 words, no more than 3. Could you write down what is popular education for you? The first thing that comes to your mind and put it in, write it down on that part of the challenge is handing out. And, all right.
Hagamos un círculo para que se vea, let's make a circle.
Let's move here, yes, yeah.
Cera, Dinamarca.
So what we're going to do is that before, when you share your card, read it aloud so that the other people would know what you have written. One stop.
¿Me?
Okay, Alex.
Todos tenemos algo que aprender, pero también algo que enseñar.
Okay, thank you.
Análisis, participación colectiva.
Okay, I want to go because
Yes.
I'm very new to this and I really don't know and I'm here to learn.
Okay. La verdad. Okay, we'll put it here then. Right in the middle. Okay. Actually, you know what? Should be here. Should be here. Who else?
Tengo experiencias, conocimiento compartido, estrategias para lograr acción, cambio, justicia.
Wow. It's very good. It's very good.
Name and dismantle oppression.
Name and dismantle.
Oppression. Let me see.
What was it, Becca?
Name and dismantle oppression.
First one.
The first one, right? Yeah.
Yo.
Yes.
Información y fuerza.
Información y fuerza. Okay.
Say again, please. Translator. Where are you?
Información y fuerza. Okay. What else? Who else? Thomas?
Learning together.
Okay.
Analysis and ongoing.
have everyone teaches and learns, but the goal is liberation.
All right, this one will be in the middle.
Mine was liberation and transformation.
Thank you. Analysis, when you say ongoing, what do you mean by that?
Ongoing, like,
Continua.
yeah, like,
continua.
yeah, it's like
Okay.
a never-ending process.
All right.
Mine related. I have social change process with emphasis on process.
Okay.
Say it again, Becky.
Social change process.
Yeah.
I have connection of mind and heart and exchange.
Oh, wow. Connection, mind, hurt, and exchange. Like it. Sabe, would you put it in the middle of the first one and the second one?
I would put it, I'm a feminist, I would put it on the first left. First left, so that is very feminist.
I got a learning experience because I don't know nothing about public education. So
Learning experience. Good.
Yeah, you know more than
Okay.
How about grassroots sharing of knowledge?
Grassroots sharing of knowledge. Okay.
El maestro enseña lo que sabe.
Okay. Gracias.
Proceso educativo transformativo.
And now let me. ¿Cómo? Proceso educativo transformativo.
Yeah, because there's so
Yes,
many
you're
there.
right.
and
You're
we need
right.
it a
Yes,
little bit.
theory. Yes. Let me take a look at
There's some
what
missing,
we
right?
have.
Some people had tools.
Oh yes, Jim.
Wisdom from the people and empowering.
All right.
I have a tool and I have also empowerment.
Empowerment?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good.
A tool. I like it.
Anyone else? ¿Alguien más? No?
We're done? Okay. Let me take a look at what we have and put them all together like yeah. Here. Change. Alright. Twice. This in front of people. Okay. So, take a look at what we have. There are some similarities. There are
overlapping.
some way related or overlapping. But this is our own concept of what public education is in this workshop. So we already have it. We could go. Instead, we could finish the workshop, all right? So now, Charlie, please. So what we have done is that Chavez is going to explain this later on the presentation that she's going to share with you. But the thing is that for us, every social discipline has at least 3 dimensions. The first one is what we call the philosophical, the most general, the one that asks about the purpose of that discipline. In this occasion, what is the purpose of the education? What is it that we want to change with this process? That's philosophy. The second dimension is theory. the theory, all the concepts that we have about what we do. If it is education and popular, why it's popular? What is that makes this kind of methodology popular? That's related to theory. And finally, the more practical of those three dimensions is methodology. So philosophy, theory, and methodology. For such a long time, people have identified popular education only with this level, with this dimension. And every time we do some energizer or some participatory exercise, we call it popular education because we think, oh, people are participating. So if it is a participatory exercise, that makes it popular education. But Jackie posed a very interesting question, that is, what is the difference between a participatory exercise and popular education? We'll see that later. It's related more with the philosophy and the theory. But trying to summarize what we have here and talking about the main purposes of this kind of education, the group, has said that first of all, it's a learning experience. We are going to learn on this workshop. And if you facilitate a workshop with this kind of methodology, there will always be a learning experience. But what makes it different is that the wisdom is not only shared or taught by the educator or teacher or facilitator, it's the wisdom from the people we are working with. And that implies that wisdom is going to come not only from the mind, but also the heart. And there is an exchange among what we feel and have in our mind, and we're going to share that knowledge. But it's a knowledge that it has a purpose, a very concrete purpose. And I think I'm going to give away of Chadwick is going to explain later that what makes popular education what it is that the purpose is liberation. So for that reason, some people call it popular education or education for liberation. Because the idea is that it's an education that is that looks for social transformation, social change processes. And what kind of things we want to change? Well, the oppression. And in these days, and this century, exclusion, a lot about exclusion, and also things we are fighting against are like inequality in this country, United States. You know that inequality is growing in this country, so those are the things that we are fighting against. And what at the same time we are fighting against those things, but at the same time we are fighting for certain things, and that's empowerment of the communities we work with that are powerless and in relation to laws that are unequal, that are unjust, unfair, and those laws are subduing those people, those communities in a situation of oppression. We want to implement these processes so that people would be empowered. In that sense, everybody has something to share and to learn. And that's why I put this together, because when we don't know, we are ready to learn. But when we say, you know what, I don't know about this, in a way we are giving the opportunity to other people to come and help us to learn new things. So everybody is a teacher and a student in our workshops, in a popular education workshop. That's why for us it's so important to gather what you know. And that's what we are doing this exercise. Going to the theory, well, what are the basic concepts that we learned in a popular education workshop? Different things. We do analysis. We're going to work on analysis tools tomorrow, I think. Análisis again, participación colectiva, un proceso educativo transformador. Este tendría que estar acá, en realidad. Vamos a ver. What kind of things we learn on these workshops? Well, things that people know and things that are important for people. That's why it's a education for it's a grassroots education. And we share those experiences, the things that people are living and are learning, those are the kind of things we are sharing. And finally, yes, the facilitator shares something. You know, another assumption that is being grown for so long is that when we do popular education, the facilitator doesn't share anything. We just facilitate tools so that the people will share what they know, but we don't prepare anything because everything comes from them. That's not true. We also have things to share with you because we have learned, as Chavez said, we have read and learned a lot of things that we also could share with you. So the facilitator shares knowledge as well. And then finally, in terms of the methodology, yes, we do a lot of exercises, we do a lot of breakout groups, exercises where people draw and sing and play. Those are things that are functional to this kind of theory and that kind of philosophy. But these are only tools. They are just tools, but they aren't the whole thing called popular education. So I'm trying to summarize what you have shared with us. But the most important thing for me is that have in mind that the majority of contributions this morning were focused on philosophy, the philosophy of popular education, and I'm happy that happened today, because this kind of philosophy is what really makes popular education what it is. Transformation education, and education for liberation. So you are very clear on that. And we're going to advance later to learn more about this kind of education. Is there any comment or question or something you want to share in relation to this exercise we have done?
Jacob?
Yeah.
I would just maybe pull the one on the left over there that says I'm learning experience. That one, and put it on the left, that one, and put it to El Maestro Enseña Lo Que Sabe, because in popular education there is nothing that just the teacher teaches. The student, in español we say el educando. I don't know if there's a translation in English. You say educando. It's not a student. The participant of the learning process is also teaching, but they cannot be divorced, so they have to be linked. So like Reka said, we do have a role as facilitators of this workshop, different than yours, but we're also learning from you, and you're also teaching us, so they have to be together. Teacher and student have to be in a continuous relation, and we'll talk a little bit more about that relation between the student and the teacher, and how in popular education is different than what we have seen in school.
So it's like a
reciprocal learning process. I teach, you learn, you teach me, I learn. So it's reciprocal, it's dialectical.
Yo fui quien escribió lo del maestro enseña lo que sabe, porque lo que yo aprendí sobre eso es que de esa manera hago que el alumno participe, porque lo que yo estoy enseñando, si el alumno me hace alguna pregunta y no la sé contestar, entonces no estoy dando mi enseñanza correcta. Por eso es que yo puse el maestro enseña lo que sabe, pero en esa palabra, en ese contexto, hay la participación tanto del alumno como del maestro. O sea, no nada más.
En la presentación gracias por su contribución, en la presentación que hizo Chava allá atrás, uno de los participantes dice, cuando Chava preguntó que si habían tenido problemas alguna vez en un evento educativo, entonces la persona decía que por falta de preparación había pasado una experiencia negativa. Y sí, efectivamente, si uno va a un taller confiado en que uno sabe, pero no se prepara y no transmite ese conocimiento bien, entonces las personas que están allá tampoco van a aprender, las personas que llegaron ahí para aprender. Entonces sí es bien importante que los que estamos en este papel de facilitadores de un taller de educación popular o utilizando metodología de educación popular, preparemos bien nuestros talleres. El hecho que hayan muchos ejercicios participativos y que juguemos, dibujemos, cantemos, no significa que no se ha tomado tiempo en preparar un taller. De hecho, nosotros que trabajamos como facilitadores de procesos de educación popular en varias partes del país, nos ocurre que cuando trabajamos con las organizaciones no se dan cuenta de todo el tiempo que le ponemos a la preparación de nuestros talleres. De hecho, aquí en Estados Unidos es interesante, pero les voy a pasar ese chisme. Chambre o chisme es como cotilleo, bueno. En Estados Unidos, cuando un facilitador hace una propuesta para una organización, y ahora nosotros no ponemos la preparación cuando vamos a decirle cuánto cuesta, porque aquí no se toma en cuenta ese tiempo. Solo las organizaciones le pagan a uno por las horas de facilitación nada más. Esa es la costumbre aquí en Estados Unidos. Pero en realidad uno trabaja bastante preparando los talleres. O sea que eso sí hay que tenerlo claro, que el trabajar con educación popular, aunque sea un método bien espontáneo, parece espontáneo, requiere mucha preparación. Entonces lo que usted está diciendo es verdad, tenemos que estar bien preparados para un taller. ¿Algo más?
Yeah, I just wanted to say like how happy and grateful I am that you emphasized this kind of 3 parts, because I have heard like recently, in recent years, that popular education has been kind of like put off track from its roots, and that a lot of people and like corporate, like you mentioned, are trying to like take the tools but separate it from the theory. And so I'm really glad that we spent a lot of time with this. So thank you.
That's good. Thank you. Yes. And now I'm going to try to answer your question. Chavi is going to give you more examples of that, because they're kind of related. Some people distinguish among traditional education, liberal education, and transformational education. Liberal is more participatory, where
people are not bored, more interactive.
Yes, and they really value what the students or the participants could share or they know. Yes, in that sense, it's an advancement in relation to the traditional education, but it is not necessarily oriented toward transformation or looking for liberation. That's not typical. That's why corporations and the private sector, they're using a lot in their meetings, their annual meetings or gatherings, they use a lot of these kind of exercises, but they are not trying to change the social system in terms of that this system would be more equal or fair. No. What makes the difference is that orientation that is more philosophical towards social change. Yes.
An example that someone used of popular education that really helped me understand a little bit more of what it meant, I think this is a good example, is this woman was doing literacy classes at I think in a Puerto Rican neighborhood in Chicago or something, and her student was a man, and his daughter came to the classes too, and he was a janitor, so he did limpieza, he did cleaning. And she was trying to, but he didn't have he didn't have literacy skills in Spanish, so he didn't know how to read and write in Spanish. So she had another barrier. It wasn't just teaching him in English, it was also teaching literacy. So they ended up using like his manuals from work to teach English and literacy, and also using like ingredient lists and things that he had to do in his daily life and daily work that he already knew about, to engage him in literacy and make it more meaningful and stuff. And not just, I don't know if that's an example of how popular education can be applied to different topics, but that's something that seems true, is that, you can apply popular education not just to a workshop about social justice, but to literacy and science and environmental education and working with preschoolers and things like that. And I'd like to learn more about that too.
That's right. I think, Chaba, you want to say something? I think no?
And I was just going to say that if in that example, the teaching of English, right, because I was teaching English, would further the knowledge of that janitor about his conditions as a janitor and the exploitation he suffers and about the wage theft that sometimes he's, victim of and all that. So then it is the meaningful oppression he's living, the topic of the learning process. So English is no longer the goal. The goal is liberation for that janitor. So the education process helps through literacy and then through other things for him to understand better the position of oppression he's in, but then a process of liberating from that situation. Not individually, because popular education is a collective. It's been mentioned several times, collective. It's a collective process. It's not an individual process, although it could be. When we learn, we are transforming ourselves. And it is an individual process. And it doesn't matter if you didn't go to school. But when popular education is applied to work in groups is because it has a collective meaning. So with that janitor, getting together with other janitors to understand their own situation, their own daily lives, and how much wage they're getting and how they're treated and then they're advancing popular education, using it through the literacy to understand their situations in their daily work as janitors. So you see the process then. So the goal is not learning English. The goal is not learning math. The goal is not learning, even how to organize. The goal is how do we liberate ourselves from our conditions, and that takes time. And you start from there, but then you build on. So for instance, Pablo Freire, maybe you can share better that literacy program he did, how he was able to research the tools, the words that were meaningful to the population he was working with in Brazil. So the literacy program would be engaging, words that were meaningful for them, but at the same time would help them in their liberation process. Maybe you could explain that.
And I'm going to do it when we talk about the history of popular education, but when I was listening to you, I was thinking, we work a lot with organizations that work for immigrant communities here in the United States. And the majority of those organizations have ESL classes at night, some program for learning English. And every time we go to those organizations, I take a look at the books and the lessons. And they could be different books, but they kind of have the same topics, like an interview for a job, your first job, and when you rent an apartment, things like that. They are important, right? But all of them have this perspective that the immigrant should learn how things are done here in the United States so that person could integrate better to the society. It's a good intention, and I think it's very useful because a lot of those students are women with children, and they have to go to clinics, they have to go to social institutions, they have to learn how to deal with those things. But you never find in those lessons how these people could contribute what they know. For instance, yes, I know that those are skills they need to know, but how wonderful would it be to find out how these persons who have come, for instance, from Honduras, the people who come from Honduras are the poorest ones that cross the border, how they managed to end up being in Boston, Massachusetts, crossing the street, the desert, and then getting different kinds of jobs and surviving and even helping their families. I mean, come on, in those particular cases, there should be wonderful stories and wonderful lessons how a human being could survive under very adverse situations. You never find that in the books. How wonderful it would be to find those kind of stories while at the same time they are learning English. Because we, the teachers that teach English, would learn a lot about things that are happening in this country to millions of people, but they are very well unknown because nobody has taken the job of gathering that information and spreading that knowledge. So I was thinking about that. So wonderful. So to finish this part, yes, that's popular education. The basic idea is the wisdom comes from the people, but it's a wisdom that its function is transforming this society that is in a situation that is very unequal. And I would say that probably 5 years ago, probably 10 years ago, those words would be kind of, probably this is not reality in the United States. That could happen in other countries. But now in this country, inequality is growing and growing and growing. So public education is going to be more needed in the United States than it was before. Okay, so we finished with this part, and we go to have some coffee for 3 or 5 minutes, and then we come back. Thank you.